Well, as always, good morning, good afternoon, good night, depending on when you're listening to this. This is the Procast, and I know, sorry, I apologize for the little hiatus we were on, but we're back now, and I got a special announcement at the end of the podcast. But before we get there, let's welcome in Rabindra. What's going on, Rabindra?
How's it going, Proc? Happy to be back here once again, especially after a little hiatus.
Always,
Definitely ready to discuss some
yeah,
more basketball.
always good to have you on. Always good to have any guest on. But you've been with me throughout this whole NBA from the start of the NBA playoffs till now, and it looks like with all the free agency going on now, it looks like it's going to be a pretty hot free agency summer, pretty hot summer going on with all this free agency going on.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope, definitely. I mean, I think I'll be honest, that's something I think every year, every offseason, ever since I've been into basketball, I've been pretty much looking forward to who goes where, what changes are made, you know? And obviously, some years, some surprises, some years, nothing much, really. So, I don't know. But obviously as a Knicks fan, I have a lot on my mind right now.
So
Like a lot.
before before we start with the Knicks and all, let's congratulate, of course, the Golden State Warriors for winning their fourth NBA championship during this
Indeed.
Steph Curry era.
Hmm.
What is that? They give Steph four, Clay's got four now, Draymond's got his fourth. I mean, and then Steve Kerr, look at that. He had three with the Bulls.
Hmm.
How many did he win with the Spurs?
Spurs. I don't know. I was thinking about that because I wanted to know if he like covered both, like all his fingers with rings yet.
Yeah,
Because
I
no, he
know he's
got
got
three.
obviously he got
He's
four
got
coaching. Yeah,
Yeah, he got three with the Bulls. Obviously, he had four with the Golden State, and then if I remember correctly, honestly, I feel like he got. I mean, I feel like he got two with the Spurs. So then, if he has two, then
I
he
think
has
so.
nine rings. But you know what? It's not like
He's
we can't check.
one
We
away.
could easily
Yeah,
check. I could easily
yeah.
do that real quick.
It's not like back in the day where we didn't have these things that are like our fingertips. Like we would just have to wonder, get an
Hmm.
encyclopedia, have to look it up that way. But now go
Yeah,
straight to Wikipedia.
basically any search bar. Yeah, he got two. He got two. He won in '99 and 2003 with the Spurs. So I'm glad my memory serves me right.
So it's
Yeah. So
nine
one
rings.
more,
He's
for
almost
him, and he
catching up to
basically will have a
Phil.
ring on every finger. Yeah, for sure. Phil
So
has 10.
congratulations to them.
Yeah,
Oh, I think Phil's got to have more than 10. Six
yeah.
with
I
the
think he
Bulls, and
actually, yeah,
how many
because I
did he
mean,
win
I
with the
know he won with the
Lakers? Yeah,
Knicks. Like he won as a player. He won
yeah,
obviously
yeah.
with the
That's right. Yeah.
coach, with the coaching. So yeah, so like actually, I didn't even think about that. You're right. You might have more than 10. But yeah, continue. Sorry.
So, yes, no worries about that. So yeah, congratulations to the Golden State Warriors on winning that championship, beating Boston. When I mean, I hate to say it, but Boston will be back. Boston's a very good basketball team, and their organization is run so well. So they'll be fighting for Eastern conferences for you know at least in the next 2 to 3 years. They're going to be a team to reckon with in the East, doesn't really bode well for the Knicks because they're in the same division. But yeah, so
Yeah.
congratulations to Golden State, Boston. You will be back. Now I got one question for you though.
What was that?
How soon are you gonna go get your Jalen Brunson jersey after he signs tomorrow night?
uh,
How soon?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not like I don't hate. I don't
I'm
hate.
guessing you're not gonna like that signing.
I mean, I don't hate. I don't hate Jalen Brunson. I'm very much. I understand. I understand it all. Like I understand the interest. I understand the standpoint from the Knicks end, especially it's like that's just like the Rick Brunson. His dad went to the finals with the Knicks the last time they went to the finals, right? Even though he wasn't a huge integral part, but it makes sense for the culture. But I'm in all honesty, I'm worried about like I get it. He's a great offensive player. I do see that. Like I see what he can do. But I'm really worried about defense. So like that's my key concern. So like I don't think he's a horrible defender, but he's just a tiny guy. So I just worry about switches. So I don't know. I'm not. I'm like very 50-50 on it. I really wanted DeJounte Murray, but that as we literally
Yeah,
started this podcast, that is no longer a possibility.
yeah.
So Yeah, he
literally
literally,
like
literally right
moments
before
before
we
we
started. Yeah,
started. Yeah,
exactly. So like, man, it was such breaking news. It broke my heart. It did. So,
yeah.
I really like Brogdon,
So for the
honestly.
so for those of
Like,
you,
there's so many other options. I don't know. Jalen Brunson, I'm not getting the jersey. I'll tell you, I need to get a RJ jersey first, man.
oh, okay, oh yeah. Well, I mean that could
Yeah.
be that would be not could be a decent backcourt with RJ and Jalen Brunson.
Like,
That backcourt
because
wouldn't be
there's options. Yeah, like it could be decent if they decide. I personally think right now, at least with how everything is, they technically probably and should start RG maybe like at small forward, and then think about it. If they start him at small forward, then they might start Fournier and Brunson if they're both on the team together, and then both of those guys are gonna get cooked on defense. Like, think about it. RJ has to, like,
absolutely, yeah.
he would have to pick up a ton of slack. So, like, but again, I don't hate Brunson. He played great, like, overall, especially like in the in the playoffs. Obviously, is where he got to shine, and they got to see a lot of what he could do. But and he's very efficient. You need the efficiency at the end of the day. But I just, like I said, I just worry. DeJounte Murray is such a steals monster. Like, I just remember that from fantasy, but let alone just obviously because of that, I know that he's an elite defender. You know what I mean? And 3-and-D is the best way to go
Yeah,
most of the time.
absolutely.
You want to at least be able to have some sort of two-way going if you got some players on your team. Otherwise it just ends up it just end up, this day and age, you want to obviously be able to defend as well as shoot the three. It's just that simple. So, like, it's tough. It's tough for
Oh
me.
yeah,
You got
I
so many
think
emotions.
the Knicks are they're doing the right thing in clearing cap space, obviously to bring players in, and they had an interesting draft night with draft getting picks. They
Yeah,
got quite a lot of picks, so to move. So I think they're going to be very active in the trade scene.
yeah.
But I think it's to me it's like foregone conclusion. Brunson's coming to the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what it sounds like. But
Yeah,
at the same time, too, I've obviously seen a ton of things that don't come to fruition when it's reported through the media. I mean, obviously, we have to wait for it to
yeah,
be official.
you're right.
But from everything that I've
Hmm.
seen, I just see continuous reports of progressing reports that they have an offer, like the 110 offer, and all this specific information. So, I mean, I'm like I said, I'm not against it. It'll be cool, but at the same time, I don't. I personally think he's a great six man. Like, not that he can't even start; he can start, but just, I want to see a defending, like a really good defending point guard. Like someone who handles the ball, but as well as defends well. Like, that's what I want to see personally. That's
Absolutely. So well, that Kyrie's not that option anymore. It
no.
was like there was like a pipe dream for a minute there. That could it be Kyrie? Was he going to opt out and come to Manhattan, cross the Brooklyn Bridge, and come to Manhattan and play for the Knicks? I mean, that's the talk for like the talk shows and the sports talk shows and the radio talk shows.
Of course.
Yeah, that was a lot of talk going on there.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
there
but
definitely. I mean, there definitely was. It's easy to get riled up over something like that, especially with just everything that Kyrie's been dealing with all around. So it's easy. I'm pretty sure a lot of media guys in general are just looking for him to just do something off the wall. So it's like, I'll be real though. As a really deep and basketball fan, but as well as a Knicks fan, like, I don't, like, as a basketball fan, I love Kyrie. Obviously, I think he's probably arguably the best point guard in the league if he keeps, like, playing and being consistent. But at the same time, like, I don't know, everything that I see from him, I don't know if I want him to be on the Knicks, because that'll be the worst. He comes over here and then screws us. We're not gonna hear the end of it. Like,
well, I was just I was just wondering who had to because the reason we all know Kyrie was looking for a
yeah,
max deal.
yeah. He want to get his
Yeah,
money.
that's the
Yeah,
way.
he wants to
Yeah,
get.
you want to get his
Yeah,
money. So yeah, but I was just looking like who would have had the money to give him and would have been like a playoff contender
yeah.
because he want the teams he listed were like all playoff contenders.
Kind of. I mean, he
He
listed
would.
the Knicks, even
Yeah,
though they're not really a contender.
yeah.
But I personally thought the Lakers. I personally thought him going back to. But then for him to go back and go play with LeBron, that would be so wild. I'll be honest. Like, that would be so wild.
I think he listed the Knicks to kind of like troll the Nets.
Maybe,
It's like, hey,
like,
I can go across town, and hey, you never
yeah,
know,
basically.
yeah, to kind of but he's gonna opt back in with that contract. Now the Nets can still move him, but I mean, I highly doubt that the Nets are gonna trade him because I think if Kyrie goes, obviously I think Kevin Durant goes as
Yeah,
well.
it just changes everything.
So, yeah,
Nah, if you
so
guys, I
I
mean, if
don't.
you ask me, they really should stay together, like that whole team. What they got going on. I personally think if Ben Simmons should be on any team, it should be on a team with KD and Kyrie. So
Yeah,
so
yeah, exactly, where he
you know,
doesn't have to be the
yeah,
best option, the
exactly.
number one
And
option.
they will just help him a lot on the floor. So like especially on the offensive end.
Yeah,
So so I really think they should stay together. I mean, I was only hoping. I'll be honest. I was hoping for an implosion just so that KD will want to leave, and I would trade for KD personally.
yeah.
Like I'll go for KD, not Kyrie. So
Okay, yeah,
yeah,
KD, yeah.
KD would
I mean, KD's one of
KD could
the.
slide in
You can make a
anywhere.
case.
Yeah.
Yeah, KC's one of the top two basketball players in the world.
Yep.
So
Very much
you
so.
know, so yeah, so KD, but it looks like Brooklyn's going to stay intact after their little bit of drama with Kyrie Irving, but they're going to stay intact pretty much. And when you have Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, you're going to be a contender. You're a contender
Mm,
once you have those two
mm,
guys. So I don't expect Brooklyn. Brooklyn's going to be a playoff team next year, but question now becomes how do the Knicks become that playoff team? And just getting back to Jalen Brunson,
mm,
if Brunson say, I mean, it seems like Brunson is going to be the point guard. If Brunson comes in here, with RJ Barrett continuing to develop,
mm-hmm,
you know, Obi Toppin, uh, does Julius Randle? I think the question. Let's just say Julius Randle stays, and he's on the Knicks for the 2022-2023 season. Is that enough to make the Knicks a playoff team? And let's say, when I say playoff team, I mean like a team that could even get into that play-in tournament as
mm-hmm,
well.
mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I personally think that they were one last year. It's just when you really think about it, it's just what they tried to do or what they tried to adjust from the year before last year. It just didn't necessarily work, right? So where they went and they decided, okay, let's give Kemba a shot, and yeah, they went and obviously they tried to do other things, but they ended up getting Fournier. So then they got like these players to help them where maybe they were suffering on the offensive end the year before when it was just really Randall, having that career year and Barrett doing whatever he could on, along with it, and whoever else could trickle in. Like, and Bullock was, I'll be honest, Bullock was big, at least when it comes to 3-pointers, like stuff like that, right? Derrick Rose obviously played the year before, not last year, really, right? So a lot of things
Hmm.
didn't shake
Yeah.
out for the team as expected. So I personally think this year, as long as they make the right adjustments, if in a sense you get a productive point guard, which you really didn't have last year, and a lot of times they were just pretty much relying on like Emmanuel quickly at point guard, which again he really isn't that bad, but I personally just think he probably just might be better suited as help versus like maybe your number one. Like, I think I've always kind of wanted them to just try and just start him, and I've seen him maybe even play pretty well like when he starts, but at the same time like if you could get a guy like I mentioned before like DeJounte Murray or some of these like real 3-and-D, like I mentioned, I even mentioned like Brogdon before. Like I personally I like Brogdon. Like I think let's not forget he was rookie of the year. This guy plays D and scores, right? So it's like I think about that because that's what hurt them a lot this year. Because even when Fournier was still playing, Kemba wasn't playing, Fournier was playing, but Fournier can't really stop anybody. Right? He could drain a lot of threes, we know that, but he hit so many threes
Yeah.
last year, but still,
I guess
you know.
what's going to get the Knicks? Like, okay, so if you're looking at the Eastern Conference, you got to say to yourself, okay, Boston's going to be there, Philly's going to be there, Miami, Milwaukee.
Let's see.
So those are,
Yeah, Boston, Miami, Philly, Milwaukee. Those four for sure
all right,
will
so
be in the
if they're
playoffs. Um,
okay, and let's say
go ahead.
Brooklyn gets a
Yeah,
full
yeah,
a full
of
season from
course.
Kyrie
Yeah.
and KD. You got to think they're going to be there.
Hmm.
How do
That's
you get the
five,
Knicks now into that like sixth spot?
6 to 10,
You know,
right?
teams
I
like
mean,
can't
I
forget Toronto.
yeah.
Yeah.
Atlanta should be a playoff team, especially now with another
Atlanta, yeah, of course,
addition,
Atlanta
right?
now, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, basically, the Knicks at the end of the day, when you name these teams that should make it, as long as everyone's healthy, right? then the Knicks are
Yeah,
basically would just be a cusp team. They would be a team where maybe they get in, at the lower seed or one of the lower seeds or just the play in. And I still see that potentially even with the roster they have now because they do have, like one thing the Knicks have been doing over this course of these years and building this team is getting good young talent. Like they need to re-sign Mitchell Robinson. I think Mitchell Robinson has to make if Mitchell Robinson really does or stays consistent, they should be a whole lot better. Like to make it into that scenario or those type of scenarios too, right? So, but in
of
all in
course,
all
yeah.
honesty, in general, the Knicks just really need to solidify a number one scoring option. This is why they're not like in any way really consistent right now. So just because, I mean, if you ask me, RJ Barrett is supposed to be that. A lot of people may not see that, but again, you draft a guy number 3 overall. Like when you draft someone number 3 overall in the NBA draft, all names, no names aside, like without any name attached to it, what do you think of that player? Like that player technically should be a franchise changing player. Am I right? Or am I wrong?
Yeah.
Like yeah. So
Oh, of course. No, yeah. Top three player. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So RJ, if you ask me, is to be that guy, but it's just last year he improved, but again, just there just has to be more improvement. He's just not that efficient. It requires him to be more efficient, and I would say requires Mitchell Robinson to be more efficient, and I think it requires another true like two-way player on that team, like whether it be small forward or shooting guard or point guard, because RJ could slide in at either shooting guard or small forward. So you just need to make sure you have that other player. You know, like that's what I think. I really don't think they're that
Yeah.
far, man. They're right there. They're on the cusp. They just need to like really. And I'll be honest. I really think they need to like free Obi Toppin, like not let him go or not off the team, but I really want to see him play. Like I really think he's like you know a hidden gem.
Well, the one question I have about the Knicks and is what's Julius Randle gonna be? Is he gonna be a Knick from their playoff run a couple years ago where they were the 4 seed? Is that the Julius Randle we're gonna get? Are the Knicks gonna say, you know what, we're gonna move on from this guy? Free up some salary or to get some players. What are the Knicks gonna do with Julius Randle? What do you think?
That's really tough to say, man. I've been thinking
Like,
about that a lot too. It's really really tough to say because I would let him go in the right deal for the right player. Like just like mentioning, even like how we were talking about the Nets before, like if KD was available, oh yeah, I would definitely send Randall and picks and a bunch of other players. Like you know what I mean? But otherwise, like I do value Randall and I do like Randall. It's just that when his career year a couple of years ago was a year in which the Knicks were very much relying on him, and he came through. But he's really not like the guy for your team. Meaning like he's not your number one
yeah,
guy. He's not. You know
like
what I mean? Like he's just not that guy. He
like
could be a good number two,
yeah,
number three, but just not that number one guy. So because of that, and I think him
like
trying to carry that
yeah,
over last year, it was just a bunch, too much for him maybe. So I again, I like him. I don't know. I can't really say what can happen to him because I really think the Knicks are open to potentially moving him, and I think in a sense they should when you have a player like Obi Toppin, like you know what I mean, like you especially when you draft him like so high. So otherwise he gets wasted. And I don't know if you've seen when he's let loose,
like
but when he's let loose, man, the guy could play. And he's so fast, so fast. So I don't know.
like
Like I think
I
he's gonna end.
I'm I'm
I
in
think Rand.
agreement.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, no. Well, like I was gonna say, I'm in agreement with you about Randall. I would move him, but for the right package,
Yeah.
for the right player to come back here, I wouldn't just give up on him.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm
But it
not like
has to
I'm
be the
definitely
right
not giving up
package.
on him.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. No. He's valuable, man. At the end of the day, he's he's a good big man that can pass well. He's not a bad passer. Like you don't always come across that. He's always been doing that his whole career. So besides the fact
yeah.
that he's
I
improved
have a
his
few.
shooting.
I think the Knicks will listen if teams come calling,
Mhm.
but it would have to be a deal that knocks your socks off, that just blows you away. where the Knicks have to say, okay, we have to make this deal. But you know what?
Yeah.
Maybe they may see a deal, and we're all going to be like, what? What just happened there? They did what deal did this make? So
Yeah.
that's kind of been the Knicks for the past what I don't know 20 years.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
They've
So
definitely
yeah.
whiffed.
So so I mean, just looking ahead now at the season. I mean, if Brunson does come here, to go along with Mister Barrett, and then let's just say Randall's on his team. I don't. I think the Knicks are going to be one of the 10 best teams in the league and get into that play. I think that should be their goal. Let's get into that tournament. And I mean, the goal should be let's be a top six team, not even have to get there, but I would want to say baby steps. And I think, start attracting some free agents when they become available, and, show them that, hey, New York is a place you want to play in. And I
Hmm.
don't mean, when I say New York, I mean the Knicks, not for Brooklyn, for the Knicks. So yeah, so just moving on from that, the Knicks talk, and what's amazing is that we're literally we're like a day away from all these moves being made, and we're hearing so many rumors already. The big one, like Robbie said, literally right before we came on and started recording was DeJounte Murray. Looks like he's headed to Atlanta from San Antonio for Danilo Gallinari and some first round picks. So I just look at what's going to happen. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. There's going to be news every single day of a move that's being made, and let's hope Leon Rose. Let's hope the Knicks are very active and they're just rebuilding this roster. Make the Garden the destination that it was, you know, in the '90s.
Yeah, I think
So
they, I think
you
they
know,
really are. I think they are really trying. You know, they did start off pretty good last year, but just the start.
yeah. So
But yeah, nah, I hear
they did
you.
start
Go
out, and
ahead.
then they had a little bit of a yeah, just went south, and then they kind
Hmm.
of caught it
And
back a little bit.
stayed.
But it wasn't enough to get in the playoffs. So let's see. Okay, so I was watching the NBA draft. I was flipping that between that and the New York Yankee game, and see what the Knicks were going to do and what, because you love all these picks, and then there's a trade, and then they just they get you going. And of course, the Nets didn't have a first round pick because they traded them away in other moves. But the Knicks did have a first round pick that they traded away. So drafted Usman Dieng, who played in New Zealand, and then he got traded to Oklahoma City. So, I mean, I kind of like what they're doing in Oklahoma City, to be honest. With
Yeah, really
the
stockpiling
Wizards,
talent.
what's his name, the Wizard of Oz, Josh Giddey.
I'm sorry, you're
So
breaking up there.
he is oh the I was talking about the Wizard of Oz. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I can
Oh,
hear you. I can
okay.
hear you. Yeah, no, I love that nickname.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Josh
it's
Giddey.
definitely
Sorry,
one of my
I think I
favorite.
had the mic a little.
Yeah.
I had the mic a little too low. Yeah, sorry about that.
Mm-hmm. I'm good.
Um, yeah,
Just
but
want to make sure they can hear you, man.
okay. So, did you like what the Knicks did in the draft though? Just kind of saying, well, there's no one we really like, so we're just going to trade away for some picks.
Mm, I mean, my original idea, if they were gonna use the 11th pick, and he was there. I mean, again, I'm no scout, but I was just obviously looking at prospects who could potentially be there. And AJ Griffin was there, but if the Knicks, didn't feel like he was good enough, or if they didn't think that maybe he, or anyone pretty much was good enough for them to select, and then they decide to trade either down or for more picks. I'm all for it. I mean, at the end of the day, I want them to do what they think is best. And I've seen them lately, even the last few years, draft good talent in the second round. Like Mitchell Robinson, I think was a late. Let me see. Mitchell Robinson was he a second round pick?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
believe so. Yeah, Mitchell Robinson was definitely not, if not, definitely late first round, but he was definitely a later pick. A lot of other guys that they have on their team that they're using are later picks. Quickly was a later pick, right? So I'm not. It was a bit. It was a bit, I guess, disappointing just from the simple fact that you kind of want to see them take a player, which they still end up doing. They take a player in the second round, Keels, right? So this player from Duke, if I remember correctly, right? So I can't say I can't say that I was in love with it. You want some more action, just like how you talk about how it can get you going on draft night. You maybe want to see your team make like a big splash or something. But again, I'm all for them trying to at least get all the right things to maybe make a move for somebody serious, right? I think that's just what it is. They just want to. They just. I feel like they know as well, or at least they see that they're like maybe one piece away, right? So from like having a decent or team that could compete, consistently. So I just wanna see them get that this year, and not just fall short. Like
So just quickly on Mitchell Robinson, he was a second round pick, the 36th overall
yep, yep.
in
I love
2018.
that. Yeah, I love that. I remember when they took him because I hated when they took Knox that year. So he basically, if you ask me, Mitchell Robinson
Yeah.
totally made up for Knox because Knox was a lottery pick.
I feel like we can do just a podcast about like Knicks draft bus.
Kind of. There's a lot.
Like
There's a lot of.
with
There's a lot
the
of draft
way,
busts, man.
yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. I mean, not necessarily just on the Knicks end, but there's a lot. I mean, because like I said, think about it. Like Knox was a lottery pickup. Look at Knox isn't anything. But so think of it like this, right? We could have, you know, we look back at that now, and now when we talk about this draft, the Knicks could have drafted somebody like Knox again, right? So maybe they just
yeah.
decided, you know what? Let's not do that. So let's maybe try to help ourselves in another way. Because I mean, 11 pick is definitely not the best pick. Obviously, it's not a horrible pick either. You just got to make the right pick. But if you don't feel confident
Yeah.
enough, then why even make the pick? Right?
I mean, yeah. So I, I like what they did because I think I really expect them to become very active in this trade market, and they're going to use those first round
They
picks
have to. Well,
to be
they
so.
have to.
Yeah.
they,
So
they have to. Why not? Like we don't need it. The Knicks basically have 4 first round picks next year. They
mm.
don't need all that, obviously.
The only thing I really was hoping that they would do was somehow get into like the top five and maybe go get Jaden Ivey.
Yeah, I forgot to actually mention
Yeah,
that. You're
that
right. I
yeah.
really that was something I really wanted them to do for sure. I was hoping they did.
That was the only thing I was hoping, but I was like, I mean, what are you really gonna get? Like, I could be wrong. I'm not an NBA evaluator of talent or anything, so I don't know who. We could have like the last pick in this draft become like the next Giannis.
Yeah,
You never know with these guys. Yeah,
indeed,
but
I agree.
I,
And
I was
Giannis was
just
drafted pretty late.
yeah, but I was just like, who are you gonna go get at 11? That's gonna make, and I was like, can Knicks have to move up if anything's gonna happen here? They didn't move up. Okay, you got these first round draft picks now, so go ahead and now use these draft picks to get some talent for your current roster. Just so support RJ Barrett. If RJ Barrett's going to be the guy that's going to be your superstar, get some talent around him to help him elevate himself. So that's what I was like. Okay, the Knicks have the picks. Go get some. Go make some trades. Go do something to kind of to take this team and put them in one of the top 10 of the Eastern Conference, so they're at least making progress, so they at least get to that play-in tournament next year. I think, to me, they have to get into that play-in tournament next year. And I think they have to kind of strive for that. That's, to me, that's the least they have to do next year. I can't see another 35 win team again. But you never 35 may get you in, so you never know. But I can't have we can't have the Knicks be like a 33, 35 win team again. Like,
Nah, nah.
go win like 40 something games next season. Go do that and get into these playoffs next year.
They have to, man. I really think they will, but they have. I just say they have to.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like we're on the cusp of NBA free agency this year. We're recording this. I mean, I'm pretty sure we'll be back talking about all the moves. I think it's gonna be a very active one.
I
It's
hope
very
so.
and the Knicks are gonna be very active as well.
I would only hope so. I mean, they pretty much cleared like 30 something in cap with the moves they made. And as well as I actually saw the NBA overall, like the salary cap for the teams is going up like another 11.6 million.
Yeah.
So technically, the Knicks got like an extra 40+ million right now, but it'll probably allow them to sign like, let's say, because they have to re-sign Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson's a free agent, or
Yeah.
his contract's up, right? And then also Brunson, right? Because I'll be real, that's what it looks like.
Actually,
Yeah.
I think I just saw something about Mitchell Robinson.
Oh yeah.
No, no, no. It's about him. It's about his status,
Mm.
contract. Don't worry, it's not being moved. No, I don't want to. No breaking news
Mm-hmm.
here about Mitchell Robinson. I just saw, yeah, something about his contract, and yeah, okay, yeah. Basically, he's on a minimum salary contract right now,
Mm.
minuscule cash. So they're saying allowing the Knicks to keep it on their books without compromising their newly created cap room.
Yeah.
New York have the ability to use that cap room, likely to sign Jalen Brunson, okay, and then go over the cap to re-sign Robinson using the bird rights,
Mm-hmm.
using his bird
Mm-hmm.
rights. Okay, yeah. So he'll be back.
Yeah.
You want, yeah,
No,
yeah.
I love Robinson,
It's
man.
up.
I love him. I personally, I really think he's very vital to our success. He just has to,
Yeah, no, it's always a lot of fun to watch when a team drafts a guy, they develop him, and that guy becomes a star. And that's what we're hoping for. R.J. Barrett, Obi Toppin, for all these guys, that this young core can kind of lead the Knicks and become like that next, become a young generation. Then hopefully when they start to develop and become stars, one of these big free agents decides, you know what, I'm going to go play with the Knicks because they have a good young core.
I mean, I would only hope. That's what I've been waiting for, kind of, sort of. I mean, last time I
It
just
seems like
seen,
it's the plan, and we will. Yeah.
I was just gonna say last
No,
time I
it's like
seen
we always
anyone.
give.
Sorry,
Yeah.
it's like a delay, so my
No, no,
bad.
go ahead. Yeah,
Yeah, I was
yeah.
gonna say like last time I seen anyone, maybe even one come was probably when Melo was here, right? Or no, well, I mean Amari, so technically, and started it.
Amari, yeah.
Amari started it. I'll give Amari that. Amari started it,
Yeah.
like because when Amari was here alone and Melo didn't come yet, he was balling, man.
So, well, let me. I think I sent you a video. I don't know if you watched it or not,
I
but
did. Yeah.
it's about these super teams that are being developed, right? And I want to get your thoughts. Do you think is it good for the NBA basically? Because okay, so
Yeah.
while you mull, let me just
Yeah.
give the people listening with the video I'm talking
Yeah.
about. Basically, it's a picture. It's got Shaq. It's Shaq with Jordan and Pippen, and Shaq is in a Bulls uniform. And Shaq basically says, "If I had known," well, I'm paraphrasing, but if I had known that this is the super team I would have been with, I would have joined. You know, so Shaq on the Bulls, and it got me to thinking, like, these super teams, like we never really saw these super teams in the '90s, but coming on lately with back in the I forget the year when LeBron went to Miami. I forget the year
I think that was
but what was it, like
2010.
2010 around
Yeah.
then? Yeah, I think so as well. That's when you kind of saw everybody kind of forming. They want to form their own super teams. You saw, LeBron, D Wade, Chris Bosh go to Miami. You saw Kevin Durant go to Golden State. You're seeing, KD and Kyrie Irving teaming up here. And I just want to, is it good for the sport of basketball to have the talent more spread out on, teams, or should these super teams, should they try to do something to stop these super teams from forming?
I mean, I don't know. I don't think I don't think you should, or I don't think the NBA should do anything to stop any type of teams coming together, players or whatnot. Um, I mean, super team or the concept of a super team, a star-studded team like that, technically even goes back before LeBron, if you really think about it. So, I mean, LeBron chose to go and play in Miami in 2010 and play, with like top tier talent with them, like Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade. But let's not forget, like the Celtics did it. You know, Ray Allen,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
KG and Paul
Okay.
Pierce. There were other teams that tried to come together with a lot of like really good players. I remember when the Blazers tried it one time with like but slightly older players. Houston too, like Houston tried to do it too. These were teams that just didn't.
Well,
That
yeah, I
yeah,
remember.
these were
Yeah,
teams that just
you're yeah.
didn't necessarily pan out. Like uh
I remember the Lakers did it once with Shaq and Kobe. They brought in Gary Payton and Karl
Yeah,
Malone.
and then those were like aging. I
Yeah,
wouldn't even necessarily that's the thing. I
yeah,
wouldn't even necessarily call that one a super team. Shaq and Kobe alone made them really good, and then they just
yeah,
got like these other guys coming along to try and get a ring. But then
yeah,
then I'm talking about like I don't know. A lot of people probably might not know about this team. But the Blazers at one point they had Scottie Pippen, Detlef Schrempf, Damon Stoudemire. At the time, if people know who Arvydas Sabonis is, but he was like one of these like Herald International centers.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Marquita
yeah,
Sabonis, of course.
Bonzi Wells. So the team was like stacked with talent. Houston also when they try to have Hakeem Olajuwon, Charles Barkley, Clyde Drexler, like all on one team. So just like I said, it goes back because eventually there's going to be some guys who probably do want to team up, and I don't think you can really knock that idea. I do think though that it's not good for the sport or the league when you have a team that's like such a lock because like when Kevin Durant was on Golden State, they were pretty much a lock. When Boston had their team, at least for that one year, it was pretty much a lock. Miami didn't win the first time around with LeBron, but you knew eventually it was going to be a lock. So then when you watch the league or when you watch for the whole year, in a sense, at least from a real fan standpoint, the only thing you're seeing is you're watching some games, but you already know who's going to win a championship. You know, so what fun is that really? So
Yeah,
I agree, or I would like to say that it's not necessarily good for the league. I personally think that everyone should be out here competing. Like if Shaq was on the same team with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman and Cool
I mean, yeah.
Coach,
I mean, oh
like
my,
I mean,
yeah.
they probably if you, I mean they're gonna lose, but how many games do you think they really lose? I mean, I think they probably even end up winning 73 games or some shit. I'm sorry, like something of the
I,
sort.
I,
Like
I mean, without Shaq, they were 72-10.
yeah, so
Now you put Shaq in there now.
then you got to get at
Shaq is
least
what
one more win.
else? Yeah.
Yeah. So
I to me that's like a 75 win team there.
yeah, that's a death lineup, man. Especially in that,
75, yeah,
especially in
yeah,
that
yeah,
time, in that era. Because in that era, I mean,
yeah.
granted, they were playing a little bit differently on the defensive end and probably more physical, but then therefore still, that's where Shaq would thrive. So because there's really nobody that's gonna stop him. So, uh,
I mean,
Shaq
yeah,
and Jordan, jeez.
it's like that is an all-star team, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when I look at the when I saw that video, I thought about it, I was like, I don't think it's good for any sport to
No.
have, all the talent on just a few teams. I think they've got to do something to kind of spread it out a little bit. And I think, okay, like I can see if you have the contract and the money for two superstars, that to me is your organization did a good job at, with the salary cap and being able to, when the time comes, getting guys in through free agency, building through the draft. Like that's how I want to build a team. I don't want to just be dependent on free agents. And that's what I've seen with like all these super
Mm-hmm.
teams now. They're just so dependent on free, like they're not developing their own stars. That's why you could Golden State. I mean, Golden State's developed Clay, they developed Steph, Draymond. So it can be
Yeah.
done.
No,
You
I
don't need to
agree.
go
I
get
mean,
free agents
you,
all the
you
time.
basically
So
want to be
yeah,
able to develop. I think that's obviously the route. Yeah, that's the route you want to go.
well, I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg of what's going to happen this NBA free agent season. To be honest, well, I know we're always itching to talk. I'm sorry about the hiatus, but something was going on, so I had to take a little bit of a break. But I'm back now, and then if I know Robbie's always itching to talk basketball and football, and then next thing you know, it'll be fantasy football season.
Oh yeah,
So it'll be a lot going on. We're like what 2 months away from that?
basically. Yep, we're basically 2 months away.
Yeah, July, August. Yeah, a lot of those drafts are gonna be late August, so less than two
Yep.
months.
Yeah, I can't wait to even get those
Yeah.
organized.
So I mean, we may actually have to hop on maybe maybe on Friday or like maybe sometime next week with all the action's going to happen in this NBA. It seems like this NBA off season. So that's the one thing I like about the NBA off season, and even the NFL as well. Like NBA free agency starts at what midnight tomorrow. You will see signings at midnight tomorrow. Like they sign. It's not
Yeah.
like baseball. Baseball just drags their signings out until like a week before the season starts and like a week before spring training starts. But you're going to see a lot of action early on,
Hmm.
like we saw this year and in the NFL. So I think it's going to be just as popping as the kids say today. I don't know if they say that, to be honest, but it's going to be just like that, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I know if I just send the signal out the podcast signal out to Robbie, he'll come on and want to chat because he always has a lot of brilliant things to say about what's going on.
I
So
appreciate that.
this is just the tip of the iceberg of what we're doing, man.
Indeed.
So definitely, so
No, I can't wait. Can't wait for more.
yeah. hmm So yeah, so on that note, we'll definitely be back very soon. Maybe even next week we'll have to do because there's going to be so much action going on with this. So this was fun. Always fun talking with Rob. So I do. There was one announcement that I wanted to make. Um, so having a lot of fun doing the podcast, but the podcast will remain as a strictly sports. We're going to talk sports here, all kinds of
Hmm.
sports. So we're going to talk football, basketball, baseball. But there will be a second podcast that I've decided to add. It's going to be called "People Who Interest Me," the "People Who Interest Me" podcast, and it's going to be just that, people who interest me. So I've already got you know, a couple of guests lined up who are doing extraordinary things,
Nice.
and I'm going to bring them on to talk about it. So that'll be the second podcast. It'll be an interview series where you'll get to meet a lot of interesting people, around, you know, in their 20s, young professionals, 20s, 30s, 40s, interesting things that they're doing. And I just figured, you know what? Shed some light. Shed some light on what these people are doing. So who knows? Maybe even Robbie will be on because Robbie does. Robbie's one. When it comes around fantasy football season and fantasy basketball season, Robbie's the man. Robbie runs about what, like 10 leagues. I mean,
Nah, yeah, that's
so
too much. Three is good.
so, so around that season, we'll definitely have you on, and you can, educate our listeners,
Oh,
on what it's like being a commissioner in fantasy sports and like some draft strategies, and maybe give me some draft strategies, so I can help finally win a basketball league and not dominate the regular season.
true,
And
true. Yeah, you
yeah,
got to get past that hump.
not dom. Yeah, I got to get past that hump. I dominate the regular season. Come playoff time, I'm gone into the first round.
Yeah.
What's going on, man?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was the one that knocked you out too, I think.
Yeah,
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 sorry, man. You won football, bro.
I'm
It's
glad.
cool.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I actually can't wait for that one. I can't. I think of all the fantasy football is probably my
Yeah,
favorite.
no, football is definitely. I think football is definitely the most fun to play, man. And especially when because it's once a week. It's not, you're not really doing stuff every day, but you kind of still are if you want to make adjustments. But fantasy football is so much fun. Who knows? Maybe we'll do two QB again. We'll see.
I mean, I won it, so I'm not. I'm totally happy about that. But I want to do a league where we're starting. Where we start the league and we just win like a championship belt, so I could pose with it, or I win the championship or a championship
Yeah,
belt.
no,
So if you
I've
want to
definitely
start
thought
one of
about
those,
like
like
some sort of. Yeah, no, I thought about stuff like that. A belt definitely sounds like fun. I just haven't like officially. That's one thing I've yet to do. Like even come up with like trophy ideas or like anything like that. But I've definitely thought about it.
okay, well, like we've been saying. So just to reiterate, the People Who Interest Me podcast will be starting up pretty soon, sometime in July. So look out for that. Of course, there's definitely going to be another NBA podcast because the NBA is just really hot right now with all the moves that are going to be made. So we're going to have to hop back on, and we're going to have to hop back on and talk some NBA moves. So,
Indeed.
a lot of things going on. A lot of things going on. So, on that note, we'll end this one right here, and you'll catch us in the next one. So, for myself and Robbie, have a wonderful morning, night, evening, afternoon, whenever you're listening to this.